The bell above the restaurant door jingled softly, the kind of sound that usually went unnoticed, just another part of the warm, cozy atmosphere inside Mama Vito's. It was a small Italian place tucked in a quiet corner of downtown, with checkered tablecloths, dim lighting, and the constant scent of garlic and fresh basil hanging in the air. The kind of place where regulars didn't need menus, and newcomers instantly felt at home. Behind the counter, chopping onions with military precision, was Lucas Romano, the head chef. In his late 30s, Lucas was lean, sharp-eyed, and quiet. He kept to himself mostly, rarely smiling unless it was to an old customer. His hands moved quickly, efficiently. Everything he did had a rhythm to it. What most people didn't know, what no one knew, was that Lucas used to kill people for a living. He wasn't proud of it. He didn't talk about it. But back in another life, he was a Black Ops field operative, deep cover, multilingual, and deadly. When he left the army 8 years ago, he made a promise to himself. No more guns, no more missions, just food, and a quiet life. So when a man walked into Mama Vito's just past 9 p.m., wearing a gray hoodie pulled low and a shaky hand in his pocket like he might be holding a gun, Lucas didn't immediately react. He noticed, of course. Lucas always noticed everything. The guy's nervous energy, the way his right foot kept tapping like a metronome, the faint bulge in his pocket, and most of all, the eyes. Desperate eyes. Eyes of a man about to make a very bad decision. The man stood near the counter, pretending to study the takeout menu. The only other person in the restaurant was Maria, the 62-year-old waitress who treated Lucas like her own son. She was busy wiping down the tables. "Excuse me," the man finally said, stepping up. His voice cracked a little. "Can I talk to the manager?" Lucas turned slowly, wiping his hands on his apron. "That'd be me. What can I help you with?" The man hesitated, eyes flickering to Maria, then back to Lucas. I need the money. All of it. Right now." Lucas didn't flinch, didn't blink, just looked at him, steady and calm. "You sure you want to do this?" The man's hand came up slightly, just a gesture, but Lucas saw the outline clearer now. It wasn't a gun. It was a kitchen knife, small and shaking in his grip. "Don't make me do something stupid," the man muttered. "You already are," Lucas replied, voice low, almost sympathetic. "Let's talk about this. You don't look like a killer." "I said give me the damn money," the man shouted, slamming the knife down onto the counter. Maria gasped from the side, backing away quickly. Lucas's eyes flicked to her, then back to the man. He took a slow step forward. "I'm going to give you one chance to walk out that door." The man laughed nervously, shaking his head. "You don't get it. I don't have a choice, man. My daughter's sick. Rent's overdue. I lost my job 3 weeks ago. Nobody gives a shit. I got nothing left." Lucas's expression softened for just a second, the faintest flicker of something in his eyes. "And what happens if I give you the money? You get by another month. Then what? You're still on the run. You think this is going to fix your life?" "You don't know anything about my life," the man snapped. "No," Lucas agreed. "But I know something about desperation. I've been in places where the only way out was through blood. I don't want to see you go there." The man stepped around the counter, fast and clumsy, knife still in hand. Lucas moved faster, way faster. One moment the man was lunging, the next, Lucas had twisted his wrist, disarmed him, and slammed him face first into the prep table, all in one smooth, terrifying motion. Maria gasped again. "Lucas, what in God's name?" Lucas stood over the man, calm but firm, holding him down with one arm. "Call the police," he said quietly. No, please," the man begged from the table. "Don't call them. Please. I swear, I'm not a bad person." Lucas didn't answer right away. He stared at the man, eyes hard now, no sympathy left. This guy had put Maria in danger, had brought a weapon into his kitchen. That crossed a line. "I wasn't going to hurt nobody," the man whimpered. Lucas sighed, the sound of someone battling old instincts. "Get up." The man did, hands raised, tears in his eyes. "You gonna turn me in?" Lucas walked to the register, opened it, and took out a single $50 bill. He held it up. This gets you a motel room for the night and something to eat. Then you find a job, or a shelter, or whatever you need to get straight. But if I see you in here again, or hear you tried this somewhere else, we're going to have a very different conversation. The man looked stunned. Why? Why would you? Because I've been worse than you, Lucas muttered. And someone gave me a second chance once. He tossed the knife in the trash and watched as the man stumbled out into the night. Maria came over slowly. Lucas, what the hell was that? Where'd you learn to do that stuff? Lucas gave her a tired smile. Let's just say I used to cook for some very dangerous people. Maria stared at him like he was a stranger. But Lucas wasn't done thinking about the man. Something about his story didn't add up. The way he looked around. The pauses. The sweat. This hadn't been random. Someone had sent him. That night, Lucas couldn't sleep. He lay in the small studio apartment above the restaurant, his eyes fixed on the ceiling, muscles tense like they hadn't relaxed in years. The mattress creaked under his weight as he turned over again, mind racing. Something about the man's voice kept echoing in his head. I don't have a choice. Desperation was real, he'd seen it plenty of times in the field, but that guy hadn't looked desperate in the way broke people did. He looked scared, like someone had shoved him toward that restaurant with a loaded gun pressed to his back, metaphorically or maybe even literally. Lucas had picked up on the twitching eyes, the hesitation, the way he kept glancing at the street through the windows. That wasn't fear of getting caught. That was fear of being watched. Lucas sat up and rubbed his face with both hands. He'd walked away from the shadow world, yeah. But if the shadow world had just walked back to him, he had to find out. By morning, he was back downstairs prepping for the lunch shift like always. Maria came in with 2 coffees and a worried look. You sure you're all right? She asked. You didn't even flinch last night. That man could have killed you. Lucas took a coffee and nodded his thanks. He wasn't going to. Still, you were way too calm. He offered her a small smile. Let's just say I've had worse dinner guests. But when Maria left to stock the front tables, Lucas went to the back office, pulled out an old lockbox from the safe, and opened it. Inside was a simple, black phone burner, encrypted, dead for 8 years. He charged it anyway, sat down, and stared at it. A long time ago, this thing would light up with mission alerts, agent status changes, even kill orders. Now it was just a relic. Still, he typed in the old code, Oramana for Durideloske. The screen lit up. The software was still functional. A name popped into his head: Nate Brenner, old contact, ex-handler. If anyone could tell him what was happening in the underground now, it was Nate. He didn't call. Instead, he typed a message. Need intel, possible tail. Civilian sent to test or threaten. Downtown LA, Italian joint. Coincidence feels too precise. Status. He hit send. No reply came for hours. But around 3:17 p.m., when the restaurant was filled with the smell of baked ziti and the chatter of customers, a notification blinked. Lucas wiped his hands on his apron and stepped into the back office, locking the door behind him. The message was short. Not coincidence. You've been burned. Name surfaced in black market 2 weeks ago. Someone wants you dead or worse. Stay dark. More coming. Lucas stared at the screen. Someone wanted him dead. After all this time? He felt something cold settle in his chest, and the kitchen suddenly felt like a war zone again. He glanced at the camera feed, nothing unusual. Maria was laughing with a couple eating near the window. The kitchen boy, Ricky, was goofing off with garlic bread again. Everything seemed normal. Which meant it wasn't. Lucas didn't go back to cooking. He went out the back door, into the alley, and checked both directions. He saw it then, across the street. A white sedan 2 blocks down, windows too dark. Parked for hours. He didn't recognize it, but he knew surveillance when he saw it. And he knew watchers. They weren't going to send amateurs twice. The guy last night, he was the warm-up act. Whoever was coming next would mean business. Lucas grabbed his phone again, fingers moving fast. How deep? He messaged Nate. Reply came instantly. Deep. Rumors say you walked with info years ago. Sensitive. Someone thinks you still have it. That's why they're moving now. They think the chef life was a cover, not retirement. Lucas's jaw tightened. I don't have anything, he muttered under his breath. But it didn't matter. The people who believed he did, they weren't going to care about the truth. They were going to dig into his life until they found something. Or someone. And that meant Maria, Ricky, the customers. All vulnerable. That night, Lucas didn't close the restaurant at 10 like usual. He closed it at 8. He told Maria the oven needed emergency maintenance and sent her home early with some leftover lasagna. Ricky got a pat on the back and a $20 tip for being helpful, and he ran out to catch his bus. By 8:15, Lucas was alone. He changed out of his apron and into something black, tactical. He hadn't worn this kind of thing in years, but it still fit him like skin. He opened the old knife drawer, not the cooking ones. The real ones. Hidden in a false panel under the spice rack. He selected a karambit blade, a set of throwing knives, and an old suppressed pistol he kept wrapped in cloth, just in case. He cleaned and loaded it slowly, hand steady as stone. He turned off the lights in the dining room and sat down in the shadows by the kitchen counter, gun resting across his lap, watching the door. The message from Nate still burned in his brain. Someone wants you dead. Lucas wasn't going to die tonight. He was going to find out who came looking. And why. The first knock came at 9:04 p.m., 3 sharp raps on the glass, just loud enough to echo across the dark, empty restaurant. Lucas stayed motionless in the shadows, his eyes narrowed. Whoever knocked wasn't a customer. The sign clearly said CLOSED. The chairs were up on tables. No one had any reason to be here. A voice followed. Calm. Cold. Too smooth. I know you're in there, Lucas. Let's not waste time. Lucas didn't answer. He leaned forward just enough to see through the sliver of window near the side. One man. Tall, lean build, short hair. Wearing a charcoal suit with no tie. Hands out, relaxed. But Lucas knew a threat when he saw one. This guy wasn't alone. No professional ever came in the front door without backup watching their six. The man waited another moment, and shrugged and turned to walk away. Lucas crept through the back kitchen, unlocked the side door silently, and slipped out. He kept low behind the dumpster, watching the alley. His eyes scanned rooftops, reflections in windows, door frames. There, a second figure on the rooftop across the street, thermal scope glinting faintly in the dark, sniper coverage. 2 men minimum. One close, one high, probably a third acting as Overwatch. This wasn't a hit team, it was a retrieval unit. Which was worse. Retrieval meant questions. Questions meant torture. And that meant someone had passed down an order from way up. Lucas moved fast. He scaled the back wall in seconds, creeping along the edge of the rooftop until he reached the adjacent building. From there, he had a clear view of the sniper. Young, ex-military, maybe. Too still to be nervous, but his angle was wrong. He wasn't expecting movement from above. Lucas dropped like a ghost. The only sound was the tap of his boots on concrete. The sniper turned too late. Lucas swept his leg out, knocking the rifle sideways. In the same motion, he slammed his elbow into the guy's jaw and pressed the karambit to his throat. Name, Lucas whispered. Colt Jason Colt, the sniper gasped, wide-eyed. I'm just a contractor, man. I don't know anything else. They said bring you in alive. Lucas tightened his grip. Who hired you? I don't know. It was a contract, came through a shell firm, something called Astrid Group. No names, just coordinates. You were listed as Asset Phoenix. That name punched Lucas in the gut. Phoenix, his old ops code name. Buried, classified, the kind of word that wasn't supposed to exist anymore. He knocked Colt out with a quick chop to the side of the neck and took his earpiece. Static. Then a voice. Target's not showing. Colt, report status. Lucas pressed the mic. Colt's down. Pull out. Silence. Then scrambling footsteps downstairs. Lucas sprinted across the rooftops and climbed back down through the side of the restaurant. He was behind the bar when the front door burst open. Suit guy returned, gun drawn this time, sweeping the dark space like a pro. Lucas waited. Let him get comfortable. Let him feel like he had the advantage. Then he struck. He launched from behind the bar, knocking the gun from the man's hand before he even saw him coming. They struggled in the middle of the dining room, knocking over chairs and shattering a wine glass as fists flew. The man was trained, good footwork, tight punches, no wasted movement. But he wasn't Lucas Good. Lucas caught him in a chokehold, dragged him backward, and pressed the knife to his cheek. "Who sent you?" "Too late," the man hissed, still struggling. "They already know where you are." "I'll ask one more time." "The people you used to work for," the man spat. "They think you kept a ledger, names, black files, backdoor codes. Something you didn't turn in when you retired." "I didn't," Lucas growled. "They don't believe that." Lucas slammed him against the wall. "Where are they now?" "They're already in LHA. You're just one name on a long list. They're cleaning house. Everyone who might have seen something they shouldn't." Lucas paused. Cleaning house. That meant not just him. It meant Maria, Ricky, anyone who'd spoken his name in the last year. He knocked the man out cold and dragged him into the storage freezer. He had 20 minutes, maybe less, before more arrived. Lucas moved quickly. He burned the phones, wiped the restaurant cameras, took only what he needed: cash, a USSHB drive, 2 weapons, and a set of old contacts encrypted in a steel-cased hard drive under the floorboards. Before leaving, he wrote a note to Maria and taped it under the counter. "Leave town. That's the bus card. Don't come back. I'm sorry. Thank you for everything." Then he vanished into the night. Weeks passed. The news never mentioned it. No reports of gunfire at Mama Vito's. No headlines about missing men or black-suited intruders. Just a quiet, closed for repairs sign and a restaurant that never reopened. Some said the chef left for Italy. Others said he was arrested. A few old men swore they saw him again in Colombia, or maybe Prague. But Maria, she knew the truth. She found the bus card, found the letter, and on the back of the note, Lucas had scribbled something else faint, almost unreadable. "They trained me to kill, but you taught me to live. I won't forget." Wherever he was now, Lucas Romano wasn't done running, but he wasn't hiding either. Someone had kicked the hornet's nest, and Lucas, he was already hunting them back.